in Gisborne French Provincial, which is a store in Melbourne. Are we in Melbourne?
No,
yeah, outside.
Yeah.
Gisborne.
Yeah.
Not far from Melbourne. So we're having a play with Ray's stencils with Saltwash, and this young lady next to me is Denise. So she's from the UK, and she's been to... Have you been to 2 of my classes in the UK?
Yes, I have, yes.
So you're world famous now. And this stencil is being produced and designed by Denise.
Yes, I usually do a raised stencil with this using spack filler, but Jonathan's going to show us how to do it with Saltwash. So we're going to...
So without further ado, what I've done is prepped. I've got a board. We've got duck egg here on this board. Everything I do, I always put a scrub coat down, like a canvas. So that's my first coat. We're just going to secure this into place. Now, you know more about this because you do it more than me. You have a spray adhesive.
Yeah, there is a spray adhesive, which is like a low tack adhesive, which you can buy from Bunnings, B&Q in England. And it just means that you can press the stencil down and it sticks all down, but you can actually pull it off and it doesn't leave any residue.
I'll take your paintwork off.
Yeah, so you can get that in England as well.
And also,
good old B&Q.
This beautifully designed stencil has got florals tucked away in here. And what we want to do is just literally, we're going to take these out because I don't want to colour these in with pigment. So I'm fine. Are you going to help me, Denise? We're not going to do everything anyway, so we'll just do a small section and then we'll move on. We've got some that we prepared earlier. But as you can see, there's little florals. We don't want them. We want the greens on the reef, and we're going to go for the little pinks into the florals. So it's
a very sort of Victorian vintage garland one, is this. I don't really think it matters that you don't cover, that you actually cover the other bits up as well.
That's right.
You don't have to be perfect with this.
Absolutely. I mean, don't put too much pressure on yourself when you're doing anything like this with Miss Swan. I'm going to start, whilst you're playing, I'm going to start mixing up and explaining what we're doing with this. So, I'm going to go for a green, and I've decided to use quite a lime green, and I'm going to do a little bit of Amsterdam green into a container. Not too much. Oops, that's a little bit too much. A little bit of English yellow. More English yellow. That's that. And then we're going to put the magic ingredients, a little bit of Saltwash. I'm not measuring anything, I'm using a little scoop. I'll just keep on adding until it gets to the thickness that I want it to be. We'll use a brush to mix this. And all I'm going to do is a bit powdery at first. Combine the two together. It's like baking a cake. And you can see it should thicken up quite quickly. Now the beauty of using Saltwash and not spack, or in the UK it would be polyfiller.
Polyfiller, that's right, polyfiller.
The beauty of this is the colour, the pigment is all the way through the product. So when we sand this back later on in the process, you will come back to the same colour. You won't come to white. If you just want a white colour, then yeah, go with just white, but we want to choose colours with this.
It looks like icing sugar.
It does. It's like sugar paste or something like that.
When you pay,
and you can see
it's in the top of
and you can see it's all the way through the product.
Yeah.
What I like to do as well, when I've got these colours on the go, I'm going to move that out of the way, and then I'm going to pop a little bit to the side of the Amsterdam green, just so I can play tonally with my colours. You could mix up another colour there with the Saltwash and just keep on jumping from each one. Now, we've got these spatulas today. I would say, if you can, get hold of...
palette knife.
Palette knife.
From the art shop.
Art shop.
I think, yeah.
I think probably people that use acrylics and things like that, you'd be able to, because you'd be much more refined, you'd be able to go into the details easier. All I'm going to do is just roll over these areas. And because we put the tape on, we don't have to worry so much, but try and stay away from them, otherwise you'll lose them. You will lose them in the paint colours. And we're just going to slightly slide the palette knife over. I'm going to go all different directions, and then I might pick up a little bit of this Amsterdam green and just darken some areas. So you can really be playful with it. So you can see how much thicker the product truly is with this
It actually looks
Saltwash.
like oil paint, doesn't it?
It does.
There?
It changes
you know,
it.
when you see.
It gives it that real thickness and texture. I mean, you can play around with texture with this product as well. You know, if you're going to use some texture. I'm not going to do everything, but basically you'll see. In fact, I will lift the stencil at that point so you can see what it's actually done. And of course, we will remove them and put a pinky tone. So
that's
there you
just
go.
the leaves, isn't it?
That's just the leaves.
Lovely.
You can slightly see there's a raisedness to that.
Yeah.
And would leave that to dry good and proper. It is. So you kind of come up with something like this. It's got a slight raisedness to it. You can probably hear that on my... And with the colours. But the reason I've stopped here is that I want to show you a little bit of ombre over the top of this. So you can paint over the top of this now and put different colours to the piece. I'll move that out of the way. We'll grab a fresh brush and we'll probably go for... I'm going to go with these colours, the blues.
And you did mention earlier that the bigger the brush as well for the ombre.
Ombre for
It's
me,
easier.
a brush like this is going to be so much easier. The bristle count on an Annie brush is really high, so they're really good to use. We're going to do an ombre. We're going to go duck egg and we're going to go Aubusson to graphite. I'm going to turn it on the side because it's much easier for me to do. This is the easiest way I can show you an ombre. In with the duck egg, load the brush up.
But this is an expert telling us this.
Well,
see, yeah.
I don't know that I'm an expert.
Ah.
There's a fine line between genius and madness, I think.
I'm saying nothing.
And you'll wonder why, a lot of people are going to wonder why I'm painting over my lovely stencil, but it'll all explain along the way. So we're going to load up the brush. You can see I'm just taking pigment into the end of this large brush. You might have to wiggle it around a little bit to get into all of those details of the raised stencil. And back and forwards, lots. And so now that brush is loaded with duck egg. So this is where I can change into the Aubusson or however you would like to call it. And I'm just literally picking a small amount of paint, really small. Sometimes I just take it from the edge of the brush. And where I've come to with the duck egg, I'm just going to drop down and leave a gap and paint here. So there's still a gap. And I'm going to work my brush backwards and forwards back into the duck egg. So this is how you get a really nice...
I think that's the thing that I've learned.
Steady blend.
About this leaving the gap. We didn't know that. You know, we didn't realise.
And then so you get that really nice graduation. Now we've got a bit more of the Aubusson here. And we're going to add more heavily to the brush. And again, drop a little bit away and back into it. So you can see it's just adding... It's a quick way of making a blend. There is other ways, but I like this way and it's so much easier. So I'm building my paint up.
And you know when you're blending like this, and do you find colours that sort of go together?
Well, that would be the easiest way first. I would always choose colours. Actually, on Annie's colour wheel, I would choose a colour that sits next to each other because she's been very clever. When they connect on that chart, that means they will tonally work very well in this, in a gradual, because they're the same colour palette. You can jump from Aubusson to English yellow. You will end up with a green in the middle somewhere.
Yeah.
It will still do that. The beauty of Annie's paints is that there's no black in each pigment, so you will not get a bad colour mix no matter what colour that you choose. So that helps.
I just like that gentle... gradual effect. I think that is.
So this is probably the best way I can show anybody the brush. There's still all of that Aubusson in there, and there's the graphite on the end. So again, this is a stronger colour. I'm going to drop down, out the way of the other colours, and then work it back.
So you're picking up some of the other colour, aren't you, as well?
The brush, it's all blending from the brush.
Yeah.
And then we can go more solid up here. And that basically... without getting my fingers in the way, that basically gives you a lovely soft ombre. You can do this over a larger piece, over a buffet, but I would start in the middle and work your way out on a buffet. If you have any worries about learning how to do that, I do have my coastal ombre in my academy that will explain a little bit more. There's also smoky blend, which is more ephemeral, it's more like a cloud-like, and I'm also doing now contour blend, and that's in my vintage faded florals. So go over to jonathonmendes.com and you should find that there. So that leaves us with this sort of finish. It's all dry. Now then, I'm going to use a cross between, I might use some of Andy's sanding blocks, but I'm going to use this first because I wanted it in a block, so I've got a piece of wood to keep it very flat when I'm sanding. So I'm just going to lightly sand away, it will get messy, some of the raised areas, and try not to take away any of my ombre.
So if I was doing this with my spack filler, that would come back as white. So it's the spack filler, whereas this with the salt wash and the paint,
that's right,
says the true colour comes through.
Yeah, all the way through the product.
Brilliant, because you could never really do this. You would have to paint each individual
back over the flowers, which is fun in its own right. There's just, this is just a different way of approaching the technique. I like this. I mean, it looks wonderful if you do a graphite over the whole thing. It just stands out so beautifully. And you might have to take some time. I might jump to one of these now, which I'll go for a bit heavier. A bit gentler. And get my fingers in. Keep on. And it really does end up with a soft, and you can go as heavy as that, you can go right down and bring back nearly all of the colour. I quite like it when there's still bits of the other colour tucked in, but that is down to you really, whatever you fancy. I quite like it when it's subtle.
I just think it looks like a faded pair of granite curtains.
Yeah, it's almost like a fabric, it feels like that. See if we can even chuck some wax on this. It's almost like where it grabs in those areas. Yeah. It's almost like it's giving it shading anyway.
I wonder if that's the higher.
Yeah, it's the higher and the lower ground.
Yeah,
it depends on how neat you get it on with the spatula. I think if you had...
But that's what, you don't have to be neat.
No, 100%.
Everyone worries about being too neat with everything, and you really don't need to, because it just gives an effect, and it's your own unique
the best effects are the ones that come from happy accidents. Do we have a little cloth anywhere? Oh, that would be good. I think we'll just put some wax on this very quickly. It'll come to life.
So it's the Barleycorn Vintage Stencil, by the way.
Yeah. What did I say?
You didn't say it.
Did I not say it?
No, you didn't.
I promised you I would say it. Barleycorn Vintage Stencils. And Saltwash. There's lots of collaborations, and Annie Sloan, and we're in Gisborne, French Provincial. So there's lots of plugs there if you want, and especially if you're in Australia. There you go. That's really, it's kind of really subtle but beautifully subtle.
That's so beautiful.
How lovely is that?
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful.
What a lovely thing that is.
Fantastic.
Simple but effective. Give it a go. That's the beauty. If you're using any of these other fillers, you're going to be white all the way through the product. You can see. I mean, I could have gone further with this and took it right down.
Yeah.
Just play with it. Be very playful with your product. It sits beautifully with Annie's paint. I know that. I know it works with many other brands, but sits beautifully with Annie's paint. Sits wonderfully with Denise's wonderful stencils.
Yes, because they're very thick.
Yeah, that helps. A thick stencil, especially for this. So
beautiful.
Give it a shot.